And he's got an office at home, similar to mine. The top floor of his house is his office, and he's got all his computers there, and he had 2 piles of books. And he had whole loads of computer books and whole loads of self-help books. And he picked one up, and it was called Action. And he said to me, he said, Ron, he said, I want you to have that book. He said, it's yours, I want you to have it. And I skimmed through it, and I said, no, I don't want to take it. I said, I've skimmed it, that's enough for me. And he picked it up again. He says, no. He says, I want you to have it. I said, well, funnily enough, I said, that guy there who wrote that, Robert Ringer, I said, I know him from my days in America. And I said, I had the pleasure of gifting him a solid gold tortoise as a present once. And we got chatting. Anyway, he says, I want you to have that book. I said, no need, I don't want it. He insisted. So on the way home, I put it on my passenger seat, got the briefcase in the back, I put this book on the passenger seat. And I drove home, and as I'm driving home, it kept kind of winking at me. Action. Drove home. I got home about 2 o'clock in the morning, and as you know, you might not know, but whatever time I go to bed, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning on the dot, no alarm clock, I just wake up, and that's when I start meditation, visualization, all the good stuff. So, got in at 2, I took the book up, put it in my home office, Action. When I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I went into my home office, my study, and I picked this book up, and it said Action on the front cover, and I opened it up, like that, right? But the words jumped off the page and they shouted at me. It was an incredible thing. Words talking to me. And it just says, action is the key to the brain's ignition. I thought, Jesus, got it, bang. Action is the key to the brain's ignition. So I completely scrapped this chapter called Invisible Entrapment, and right there and then I wrote the biggest chapter in the book, which is called Action, the Master Key. Right? So I'm trying to share something absolutely incredible with you today, because action is really the key to switching your brain on and really making things happen. So it's no good doing them, affirmations, visualizations and all. Without action, nothing's going to happen. And I know people say to me, gosh, how did you write 18 books? How did you get something like that? Just continuous action. Chunk, chunk, chunk. Yes, made mistakes on the way, hundreds of mistakes. Do I care? Do I look as though I'm a man who cares? No, just pick myself up. Like, I told the story the other day about Mike Hailwood. It's the last story because I want to share something else with you. But Mike Hailwood, who's 9 times world champion, in his first career, he got talking to another very, very clever guy. I can't think of the guy's name. I think it was Derek Minton. They got chatting about how many times they come off motorbikes. And Mike Hailwood, who was to become 9 times world champion, he says, I've come off 27 times, right? And the other guy says, oh, he says, I've only come off 15 times. And then they got talking a bit more, and the seasoned guy, it turned out that's 15 times he's come off motorbikes in his whole career. And Mike Hailwood says, no, he says, I've come off 29 times this season. Right? Now, that to me tells you what kind of action that you've got to be getting into. And I know there's people here who've got to start clicking this thing in, getting into the zone and making things happen. Right? That been useful?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. New future, you've got to be thinking all of this through in pictures in advance of it happening. Right? Face it, visual in advance. So if you're thinking of moving to a new house, what have you got to be thinking of? Moving in the house, making the transition, how are you going to, in advance of it happening? If you're going to move into a new job, you've got to be running that scenario over and over again in your mind, putting that program in before it happens. Right? Told you, 5 o'clock in the morning now, what am I coming up for the future? I'm already there in New York. I'm on the Oprah Winfrey Show. I'm touring America. I'm thinking about this over and over again in advance of it happening. And I can't express how powerful it is thinking your life through in advance. Rehearse the future as you desire it, mentally at a cellular level. Right, before these things happen, put those programs in, and miraculously that life will start flowing out. Coming back to action, somebody else asked me, when you're trying to make these things happen, what kind of action do you think you've got to get into to make something happen? I'd like to hear some people in the audience because this is ever such a crucial key. You're trying to make something happen, you know action is the key to the brain's ignition. Action's going to make this thing happen for you. So what type of action? Has anybody got any ideas on that? What kind of action? Perfect answer. Another bold action, absolutely. What other kind of action? Immediate action. 3 perfect answers. Who else has got? Positive? Yeah, positive action. Yeah. You'll see where I'm going with this in a minute. Because it's ever so powerful what I'm going to give you here.
Although ultimately the action has got to be massive, that can be little steps.
Yeah.
Chunking down.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. What other kinds of action? What kinds of action are important?
Do it.
Nothing. Stillness.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Mental action. Yeah. What other kinds of action?
You do it.
Physical action.
Yes.
Physical action. Yeah. What was the other one?
You do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? We've got to keep driving down on this so you really get it in a cellular level. What? Absolutely, action as a program that's in your brain, in your biocomputer. Yep. What other kinds of action?
Maybe exciting action.
Yeah. Absolutely, exciting action. Yeah. What other kinds of action? Intuitive action. Yeah. Who said that? Yeah, good one. Yeah, what other kinds of action? Physical action we've already had. Mental action. What other kinds of action is the key to the brain's ignition? And we just got to keep on and on at this till we get to the nitty-gritty of it. If you're really getting frustrated in your life and things aren't happening for you, and you want the keys to success, by the time you leave here tonight, you're going to know what it is that you've got to do. So what other kinds of action? What else?
Be realistic.
Realistic action, absolutely. And say if I said to you, that's a perfect answer and it's 100% right, and say if I said to you, and some unrealistic action, would that be good as well? Yeah, absolutely. All right? And can you see where I'm going with this? Any action. Do you see how powerful that is?
Yeah.
Any action, it's incredible, because the truth is, when you're trying to make something happen, if you're in action, you don't know when your Eureka's going to come, you don't know when the breakthrough's going to come, but one thing for absolute sure, it's not going to happen if you're not keep driving things forward, right? So it's an incredible thing, because on one hand we say we've got to meditate, we've got to have the gestation period, we've got to come up with the Eurekas, and that's the great secret of life, is the achievement of action through inaction, right? The great secret of life is the achievement of action through inaction. But in the same breath, we're saying massive action as well, right? So you can see how the two contradict each other, but that is exactly what you've got to do. And if you start kind of analysing what has created success for you in the past, you'll very, very quickly be able to verify it with your own experience what it is that you've got to do, right? And I don't know how many of you do post-mortems on your successes and failures. Do any of you do that? Right? The only reason why I've been able to write these 3 books, and I just want to kind of show you the trilogy because it's kind of interesting, that's a life's work, right? And I've written 18 books. The Talk and Grow Rich 1981, then Turbo Success 1993, Eureka Enigma 2009, 30 years work. But it's only that I've done a huge amount of thinking and non-thinking and analysing kind of successes and failures, and not being frightened of writing about them and telling people both the goods, the bads, the ups and downs, and getting to the bottom of what works and what doesn't work. Powerful, powerful